I think it's between Invisimancer and Halt Order. Invisimancer doesn't seem like the kind of card this deck wants. Halt Order is pretty situational itself. I'm going to take it. I don't think Invisimancer is going to improve us so much here. I'm going to take the Negligence Sensor here, just as a borderline playable. This is a little more interesting, with double Revoke and Steel Sabotage, and the Golem Artisan. You know, I don't think we're going to main deck it, but, you know, I don't think we're going to board it in ever either. Lifesmith was probably fine there too. Stick to Miasma. Yeah, just grab this land. Hide the land. So that's 25. And I don't think we're going to run this Rhino. So that's 24. Looking at the deck, I feel pretty okay about the fact that we took the Artisan over the Arrest. You know, we have enough. What? Oh, there we go. Took me a little bit there. So let's put in Sabotage. Let's put in those, and White Sun, and the Farpoint, and the Warden, and the Vassal, and the Fumes. Made some judgment calls on the fly there. I think Lux Cannon is good enough to get the nod here. We are pretty slow controlling his deck. We don't really even have, I mean, this guy makes us look kind of aggressive, but we didn't even get like a Sky Guard to follow it up with. No Mana Mirror. That's kind of become an occasional reality in this format. Excuse me. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 artifacts. And we do not intend to play the Razorfield Rhino anymore. And so that begs the question of whether or not Galma's Warden is so hot anymore. So I don't think we can't run the Surtark. And the Warden is less than I don't know why did I do that? Color. So we have 21 and 9 creatures that the deck recognizes right now, plus White Sun Zenith, plus Strandwalker, plus Flare Husk, plus Origin Spellbound. So that's 4 non-creature spells that are nonetheless sword creatures. So we are at 13 creatures. I don't like to play a lot fewer than about 15, but in a deck like this, which has access to, you know, non-creature cards that, you know, Lux Cannon is a permanent, you know, just think, like, it's not the worst that it could be. So the Galma's Warden, the Acolyte, and the Shikari are all considerations. The Shikari, you know, has access to Flare Husk and Strandwalker. The Acolyte is just kind of a useful utility guy. I'm not sure how much better Shikari would be in this deck than Acolyte. You know, obviously he's going to help trade better in the early game, but the Acolyte, you know, against the Infect decks is going to make it more interesting to... It's going to make it more interesting. I do now... curious to go back, pause the recording, and look at what we could have taken over this brigade. So the other things that I'm looking at are, you know, we need 2 cards here. So, you know, I don't like the coding. If we had, you know, if we wanted to put in like the Warden, we could try the coding with the 2 revokes. But I feel like more, and you know, like Scrap Diver Servant has some synergy with it too, obviously, and Golem Artisan. But I feel like that's pretty few and far between. Sensor is kind of interesting. It'd be more interesting if we picked up that Thrumming Bird or that Clasp. Certainly now that we took the Arrest over the clasp. And if we'd taken the clasp, I don't think we could have taken Golem Artisan over the arrest. So in that sense, I think it was very, like, our pick order's fine, because I think I prefer Artisan Arrest to Clasp Arrest, even though we have Lux Cannon, even though we have Tumble Magnet, even though we could think about running Sensor. So really, it comes down to Warden is a fine early ground guy, and he'll occasionally, you know, be able to swing in for more. You know, we could run Coding Warden. We could run either of these two guys in Warden. I don't think we want to run Surtark or Halt Order Main. I don't think we run Surtark even post sideboard. Turn the Tide. You know, my initial evaluation of this card is that it was going to be really good, but I don't think... I mean, it feels like it's much more awkward to trade than I thought it was going to be. We could... I mean, the Rhino is... as a 4/4 for 6 is totally fine. But we have the scrap. I mean, we have, you know, things to do in the late game. Huh. It's weird. It's interesting. There's, you know, I could even see running this. I could just see running these two guys. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the Acolyte, and I'm gonna play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ugh, the Rhino is just so. I don't want to tap out for the Rhino very often. I mean, the Scrap Diver is much better at that job, and the White Sun Zenith, you know, which we keep kind of forgetting about. I mean, if we had the Clasp and the Thrumming Bird, you know, we would be a very different deck. But it could be, you know, with the Vassal and the Choking Fumes, it's an interesting thought exercise. I don't know what's correct here. I'm going to play the Warden. I think it's better than the Rhino, just because it comes down to gum up the ground earlier. You know. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's not going to get higher, no matter how many times you count it. So liquid metal coating better than it. If I'm going to run the coating, I'm more tempted to run the Rhino, I guess. Yeah, the coating has synergy with the Sabotage, the 2 Revokes, the Stoic Rebuttal to make it cheaper, the Galma's Warden, and the Artisan. Is that enough reasons to run it? Maybe we should run the Surtark too, if we're going to run the coating. Is that going to be relevant often enough? What will we cut? Will we run 16 lands? They're not super expensive, but we do want to have enough, and we don't have any mirror. So we want to run, I mean, I'm headed toward another 40-card deck, 41-card deck, and I'm not going to do that. I mean, I'm going to try this card out. I'm not going to back off my Choking Fumes here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pretty low on the 3-drop. Creature-wise, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-ish. I am going to try this. I'm going to try Liquid Metal Coating in a deck that I do not think I would traditionally run Liquid Metal Coating in. Yeah, 10-7 is awkward too. But, I mean, I've been running a lot of 9-8 splits with Volition Reigns, which is a card I would love to have in this deck. The coating is just not going to do that much that often. Yeah, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to run Acolyte or Shikari, Acolyte or Shikari, Acolyte or Shikari. I am going to run the awkward 10-7 here. Look at the last one. Acolyte Shikari. Acolyte Shikari. I'm gonna run Shikari. No, I'm not. I'm gonna run the Acolyte. That's it. See you in a second. Oh, need the recorder. See you in a second.